new hoodie, the new color.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
one's dope.
yeah. The blue is my favorite.
Yeah, so I just found the other one that I had because I got the white one, then I got the other like baby. Is it baby blue color?
Yeah, that and broke the cycle. Can't
Yeah,
go wrong with those.
no, those are nice.
Okay, we are good to go. So, what up, everybody? Welcome back. This is the First Gen Experience, your place for information about the culture, business, sports, and more. Told through the first gen perspective. My name is Coach Woodson, and we have
Eddie, Coach Eddie now, trying to
yes, sir,
get
Coach
on there, been
Eddie
doing a
in
lot
the
of that, so it
house.
seems fitting at this point.
Yeah.
So that's what the kiddos were calling me, and they're like, "Hey, it's Coach Woodson." Then, oh, what's up, Coach Eddie? So I'm like, that's got a good ring to it.
Yeah, buddy. So we are here for another day. Eddie, catch me up, man. What you been up to?
Well, just still a lot of networking, having some really cool meetings. Met with some local board people out in the community, doing some canvassing, just getting to know the students, the needs. Trying to mimic everything you're doing in Vegas. Got also the just like you, just kind of matching. You got the ET going on, so I was like, you know what, I need me some motivation. So I spent some money, and now I'm gonna go see Andy Frizella, Ed Milet, and David Goggins on Saturday. I'm just
Nice.
gonna, that's the first thing, and that's just kind of even breaking the cycle because a lot of it is like tax money, right? But after that, I paid. First thing is paid all my bills, and then after that, it's like, what's the first thing that I need to do? And within 5 minutes, it was just that. I didn't even think about it. Not going out to eat, not going anything. I'm like, what is the first thing I can do? And that was it. I messaged Andy right away. I was like, hey man, I didn't even think about it. I just self improvement. That's it. And I'm gonna get so much more than whatever we end up paying. Just like I'm pretty sure yours will be invaluable.
Right.
Uh, yes, I got that. Looking forward to it, and then just keep going every week. What about you?
Some professional development. Why is it important that people invest in themselves?
Well, because we're just I talked to a lot of my friends already, just even like that with the money, right? You're doing temporary happiness. That's something I made a post about. It's like it feels good right now to go out to eat, to go do this because maybe you're struggling. Maybe something small is okay, but after that, what happens? You're in the same place, right? And
Right.
you have to wait a whole year and you're in debt. Just you're I know people that are like, man, I already blew all my tax money. I can't wait till next year. I was like, what do you mean? You have a full year right now. So that's why it was a no-brainer for me because I'm like, okay, I didn't really need it, but I was able to get some stuff done. But now what can I do so that I'm not in the situation again? Because every year me and you we're growing financially, we're growing a different way. And I don't think I'm pretty happy to say I don't think me or you are the same from like last year to this year, right? And that's why it's a no-brainer. It's you have to learn so you're not in the same situation because I can't imagine that scares me being the same last year as I was this like I can't think of it. I have to be smarter, I have to be better. And then in the end it makes me happier too to know how smarter I am this year.
Right.
So I think that's the first thing people should do. It's not temporary happiness, maybe a donut, maybe this, whatever, this cool looks cool, but when that's gone, what are you gonna get?
Exactly. Right. Boom, man. So invest in himself. He's going to see. Oh yeah, that's going to be good. So we're going to be going to Phenomenal Life beginning of May. Um and I'll say besides that, I'm looking forward to that. We just got done with hosted the largest youth development event here in Las Vegas with Character and Awards Night. So we had over 1,100 attendees. Um, like close about 350 kids in there as well and their family members. So it was a packed event. We actually rented a stadium out for this event and just hosted a youth development and awards ceremony inside of a stadium for at-risk youth here in Las Vegas. So a lot of planning went into it. I'm
Oh,
definitely happy and relieved it's over. It went amazing. Shout out to everyone that was a part of it and helped out. But
I
yeah,
think
man.
if you don't, I think the question I messaged you, the thing that stuck out to me the most and why we talk about reinvesting into kids was many things were seen that day. But I honestly think the most powerful thing, obviously, apart from helping, is when you took your kid up there. So
Mm.
if you want to explain that, like I know my kiddos very briefly will be like, Dad, I want to work like you, I want to do this. But like can you elaborate why you do that as well and why you take them and obviously and then after that why we're choosing to kind of go all out? You even had mariachi there. I was like, what the heck, man? That
Yeah,
was really
yeah.
dope. But can you elaborate on that? Because I
It's
think that is
all
so
about
powerful.
it's all about exposure. So I actually looped him in our speech as well.
Oh,
Shout out to
nice.
everyone
Okay.
that was there. So it's like I brought Desi on stage. He's 4 years old, so he walked up on stage, didn't know how he was gonna do, but he did well, waved to the crowd and everything, and
Nice.
enjoyed it.
Okay.
But I did it one for the exposure for him, so that way just to see how he would react and everything, just exposing him to different environments. And then number two was he was a huge part of us continuing on and actually starting the organization. So
Mm-hmm.
when we first started, he was born early, right at the start of our organization, and he was in a hospital. So we had the decision whether to stop doing the business or to take care of him completely, or continue it and just figure it out. So we both opted to just figure it out, keep the business and keep the promise and the commitment that we made, and also go through what he had to go through being in a hospital in a NICU unit. So
Mm.
that was part of my message to everyone, is like, you got to stay committed even through adversity. Like we all have dreams and goals and things we want to do, but it's like right when something bad happens, then we find every excuse to give up. Like we got every excuse in the world to give up when it's hard. Everything sounds great when you're first talking about it until life happens.
Right.
The ones that continue to stay committed to the process and to what they said they were going to do are the ones that actually are successful. And he's literally like an example of that, because that was our commitment. We wanted to, make sure he was good, and also to show him someday this is what happens when you continue with what you promised you said you would do. So
Right. That's beautiful. And I think too, I heard part of Ed, which I'm gonna part of is touching your dream. That's why I believe it's important. And I believe you probably think the same of like showing him. But a lot of people like it's good to do it every once in a while, like touch your dream, because then you're like, man, I'm never gonna get this. But like that's why I'm really glad that y'all went all out. Like it's like, man, like I've heard it. It's like you look like me, right? When I was talking to the kiddos,
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, you don't have to be this specific person. Like success looks a certain way, but when they see somebody, like when they saw us go into schools, they're like, man, I'm a young, black entrepreneur, and like I don't have to be a rapper. I don't have to be. I could do so many other things just like me. But like the other thing, why again I think it's so powerful, is because he can physically at 4 years old be like, yo, this could be me. Like, and then you're
Right.
setting them up differently. And how many 4-year-olds do you know that have that experience? And then on top of that, I think the kiddos that you also, because you brought a lot of people, right? I saw some of it. You brought different people from the community
Yeah, yeah.
that are trying
So
to give back.
it was all, yeah, so it was like all that event, it's all about exposure. So it's like you got to take people out of their environment so that way they can receive the right information. And because sometimes when they're in the same environment, it's hard for that information to go through. So we bring different like athletes. Shout out to the pro athletes. We had Sincere, he's a Raiders running back. We had Las
Mm.
Vegas Desert Dogs player, a couple former NFL athletes as well, speaking to the kids, and then alongside myself. But it's all exposure. Like, the thing that gets me is when it comes down, and we put this event on, you guys, like with money out of our own pocket. Like, we didn't have any major sponsors or anything like that. We had definitely companies and organizations that helped out with it, but no one like major sponsors for the full thing. So we put this event on, and we put our money behind it because for our youth, they deserve the same treatment that some of us adults are getting. So when we're talking about professional development, we go to a lot of conferences. We're just talking about the conferences we're going to. We're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to do it. And the people that are putting on the conferences and stuff like that, they're spending tens of thousands of dollars to put it on as well. But that's for adults. when
Right.
it comes for youth, there isn't, I don't see anyone really renting out stadiums for a youth development event. But yet in the news, we talk about, oh, these kids are so depressed. Oh, these kids aren't doing this. Oh, their grades are behind. Oh, they're not motivated. Oh, they're not doing this. And it's like all these problems, but it's like, okay, how much money are we truly willing to put up when it's time to come for the youth? Like why come when it's time to really talk about the money and the funds to actually get a program or to do a certain event, then they're like, people are like, oh, well, let's cut this out or let's do that to save money. It's like, no, let's put it all towards him if the
Right.
outcomes that we want is for them to, well, to get the positive outcomes. Like, why don't we put the money up? So for us, that was one of the biggest things with character night for sure. We're doing it in
I even saw a giant like GYSA like logo thing up in
oh
there.
yep.
That was dope. The last
Yeah.
one I'll add, because we're in the school. Well, you were a teacher, and I just work with schools. Just strictly on that. If any educators or anything are watching on the power in that, I hear a lot. Oh, but they're just kids.
Mm,
Like we don't need this, but they're just kids. But it's like I think the opposite. I was like, because they're kids. Because
mm.
if we did a survey of how many kids at that character night had ever been to an event like that, I'm
Oh,
like
there
already
was like
know,
almost
man.
none of them. Yeah,
Like
they're
none of even we'll go further. Like how many parents or adults
right.
have been to something like that? Because like at the conferences that me and you go to, I'm pretty sure with ET we're the youngest ones there. But like a lot
Mm,
of my friends, I can go on my Instagram, whatever, and post how many of you have attended more than two conferences in the last 5 years. I'm
right.
100% sure, man. Like most of them will be like none, right? Because we're not used to it, and because we didn't grow up with it. So I think that's why I love and I wasn't able to, Family Matters, but I love that. Like you
Yeah.
go all out, you saw everything. I was like, Jesus, like even like on a certain dogs, like all these things. I was like,
Oh
man, it
yeah.
was just like
Next year,
nonstop.
even bigger. The
Yeah,
big
even bigger.
That's just how we doing it around here. Just gotta keep getting bigger and better. All right.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. So about some business stuff here, we got CNBC. I thought this was interesting. CNBC says AI could impact 300 million jobs. So AI and the involvements that in the growth of AI in our economy and everything can take away up to 300 million jobs within the next 5 years. Um, that's a lot of jobs.
Yeah, I think
That's a-
people I know like us, like they're scared. I know when the internet, obviously we're younger, we're both only 30, but like I guess we're feeling how the internet, because I was researching into it with some buddies of when the internet first came out, like, oh my God, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do this, and when like Facebook comes and AI, but I've been talking to a lot of people and you just have to adapt, which is something, we're also not used to. And like our parents, like I talked to my mom, she's like, that's just creepy and all these things. But I was like, we have to adapt. Like Canva
Yeah,
has AI. People are using it for so many different things. And if we don't adapt, like,
but
we're gonna end up 300 million jobs is a lot. It
yeah,
is a
and
lot
those
of
are
things.
people too. It's like that's what's
Yeah.
getting me is that oh snap. What's getting me is like that's people. That's 300 million people in salaries, jobs, families that are going to be impacted. And it's like, and in the article too, it even referenced what type of jobs are going to be lost. So I wrote a few of them down. So office and administrative tasks, legal work jobs, architecture and engineering, right? And those are kind
Mm.
of like the top ones right there. But it's like for people that are in those positions, you got to really start, all right. So the problem is, okay, that's going to take a lot of jobs. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs and things like that. We've already seen the major job cuts from Amazon and all these major companies. I don't think it's going to stop. But I think what people can really do, since we like to talk to the first gen community, for if you're in college or you're thinking about a career path or wherever you're at, you need to really be developing a skill set, and really developing a skill set of where you can manage AI. And like you said, to your point, don't be afraid of it, but learn about it, to where, because we have AI, there's still going to be people that have to control it and manage the AI for now, right? So you can be
Yeah.
a position like that. You can get a skill set a trade, like I'm super into, we talked about this before in the other episode, but like learning a trade, learning how to, build houses or be like in a trade, like any of that, it's like those AI is not going to be taking jobs like that yet, so you can be able to learn a skill, a high income level skill, and still be successful,
Right. I think people are scared of that. Like we also talked about it. Not everything's an influencer. Not everybody's going to be famous. Not everybody's going to have followers. But like, if
Right.
you learn a skill set, plumbing isn't going to go away. Like, if you, even if it gets crazy, you're still going to need a plumber. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that are rich that are plumbers. I have rich friends that are electrician. And by rich, I'm like, they're making like 2 to 300,000, like easy, because those jobs are not going away. And people, there's like local mom and pop shops, like they will not go away because like they're basic needs. And I think people really need to get out of like, I need to be an influencer. I need to make quick money, because like that can all, they're starting to ban TikTok too in some places. Like they're going to start banning TikTok, that's already going. So it's like, what are you going to do when you don't have internet, when you don't have that? And like you said, it's learn a trade. It's a
Mhm.
boring job sometimes, but if you can manage it, if you can do it, you can actually make a lot of money and you'd
I
be
even saw
good.
some of this AI can, like, I was just doing because I'm about to write a couple books coming out. I was
Yeah.
looking at some AI can even write books and stuff where you do like marketing proposals and all this stuff.
It's
And
so intense,
like
man.
their AI is making like video, like music videos. I saw like a whole Drake song that was literally just his
I
voice.
saw that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, dude, this is insane. So it's like it's gonna be pretty crazy on all the things that start coming out. But I'll tell you what I'm really looking at is how I can use it to in our businesses. How can I use it as far as like what companies are around and creating things that I can invest in that's really going to change a lot of things. So I'm looking at it as like, how can we be able to use this to be able to make more income? Like that's how I'm
Mhm.
like, that's why sometimes you got to really study it and look into it and be able to apply it. Cause this is like, Steve Jobs was like, this is like the greatest, finding or like developments that we've ever seen, so
Oh,
definitely want to take
and
time
it's
to research
adapt,
it.
right? Like it's recent, like it's just happening. So there's no rules, there's no, obviously eventually at some point that maybe they'll regulate, because they're even saying like they're studying how it can do stocks and trading and certain things. Like
Oh
AI
yeah.
is just, the limits aren't, do not exist. But in the meantime, if you can get it, we talked about it last time, in most recessions or in general, most of the businesses profit, like the big businesses. Like that's when a lot of people, Coca-Cola makes huge. There's so many things like in recessions, they're like, oh no, man, it's not happening. But those companies like, let's do it. Let's use AI right now.
1,000%. Um, so yeah, those definitely look out for that kind of stuff coming up. Don't be fearful. Definitely learn about it and get some stuff going on. Some sports news. I'm happy the Lakers won the other night, but I don't know if they're winning tonight. Shout
Oh
out
man, I'm about to
to the
hop on
Lakers
after.
for getting to the playoffs. I don't last time I checked, they weren't winning the game yet. So
I don't
hopefully,
even want to check right now. But
hopefully they get it done. Let's see
how
what
you
the
feeling about the Suns?
Suns. I don't know, man. We talked. Dang, the Lakers lost. Dang,
Oh, there it is.
lost by 10. There we go. Yeah, looks like we're going to game 3. Let's go. Try to get them. Suns are good. I mean, I've watched a little of them. They're looking. I mean, dude, you have Kevin Durant. It's like, what I'm saying? Like, you got
Yeah.
KD and Devin Booker who could put up 40 on you. You got CP still. Like, you guys got a solid team. I mean, they should get far, but we'll see.
Who'd you have last time we talked? Who'd you have winning it all?
I really like Denver. I
Mm,
really like Denver. And then from the East, I really like well, the Bucks before Giannis got hurt.
yeah.
Or the Celtics, really. Yeah.
What are they at right now? Bucks are, yeah, 86, 62.
Yeah.
Got Nuggets, nah, Lakers.
So it's going down. Um, man, oh
Got
man. But yeah, so
Warriors too.
yeah. The Warriors, I know they're struggling against the Kings. The Kings might be the real deal, huh?
That, yeah, that's what nobody thought of that. I got a couple buddies and they're like, oh, just down in 4-3. I was like, hey man, what's going on right now?
They might be
So
the real deal. Yeah.
yeah, and that's in
First.
the end we talk about it too. It's just who wants it more.
Right. We'll see. Hopefully the Lakers can come through this year for us. Um,
We'll see.
let's see here. So breaking some cycles around here. So we talked a little bit about the culture, talked about a little bit of business and sports, a little bit of first gen stuff. So I was talking to some students yesterday from an organization here that works with first generation students, and I was talking to a group of high schoolers, and I was
Mm,
telling them about all the real estate stuff that I do, and then some of them were definitely interested. They're like, after I was done talking, and came up and was like, yeah, I'm definitely interested in being an investor. And I thought that was very interesting. Instead of them saying like a real estate agent, they're like, I just want to be
mm,
an investor. And I told them the importance of investing, because it's really just having the right mindset of being able to what true freedom really means, and I kind of explained to them like you can have your career job, you can have like, everything that you want to do every single day, and you're getting paid for it, which is awesome. So you're living like kind of your dream job and your dream life. But what happens when you get sick?
mm.
What happens when, I don't know, like something happens and you can't work anymore? So now you lose that income. So the way I look at investing, I was telling them, was like I look at investing as buying my freedom back. So one of my values as far as my family is time freedom. So we don't do things that take a lot of our time, that it's gonna, not to say that everything's not gonna take time, but we value time freedom. So
Mm.
for us, we look at investing and getting passive income as another way to just be free, because we do what we want to do every single day. I love speaking, and with the sports program and everything, I love everything that we do, but it's still a job. At the end of the day, you still have to do things, to make an income. But what happens when you have a portfolio that exceeds what you make with your job? So at that point, that's true time freedom. Like
Right.
whenever your passive income exceeds your expenses, like that's true time freedom. um so I was explaining that kind of mindset to them. It's like, it's not about just making all the money you can, which is great, but it's like you can make hundreds of millions of dollars and lose it all. We've seen the stories of boxers and stuff where they've made, over $50 million during their career, and literally are like down to the last million, or last 100,000, or lose it all,
Yeah.
have any passive income coming in. But it's like, what if you had the information to be able to take that income you're making, and then boom, turn that into a portfolio or passive income, so that way you live off your passive income, and then all the money you make, it's part of the system, you know.
Hmm. And I think too, because we're also not taught, right? Like me and you talked personally about like the struggles where my family's going through, right? As people get older, people are passing away. Unfortunately, my grandpa, a couple uncles, aunts this year, and they passed away in their head household. And like what's happening even with the trust, right? I was like, we
Mhm.
got houses that might be lost. We have insurance things, policies. So I really want everybody now that we're young, because nobody's gonna teach us these things. Like, all right, I want you to think when you're old, right? When you're like 60 years old, you see people now that like, or it's kind of sad. Like you have to make a GoFundMe now to like pay
Right.
off your retirement, and
Yeah.
it gets praised, and I love it. I even donate because I'm like, holy crap, why are you 92 still working at Walmart?
Yeah.
I just saw one like that because we don't start investing. And like you said, I got sick. I do really well. I'm really proud. I got sick for 3 weeks, like a bit ago, and I was like, wow, like I'm head of the household, right? Because we're working on it. And what happens
Yeah.
if it's a month? What happens if you break your leg? What happens if, and we
Yeah.
don't think about it, and we really need
I
to sit
broke my
down
arm.
and do that.
Like I did. I broke my arm. It was,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Like
it's
who's gonna do that, especially for
yeah.
your parents? I would sit down as a first generation. I'm pretty sure over like 90% of, especially I'm gonna say Mexican American, right, or Mexicans. How many of your parents look at their retirement? I
Mm,
wholeheartedly, in my family, I can sit down with a lot of them and be like, they don't have retirement, they don't have this, and that's been in the back of my head. And I'm like, man, what are we gonna do? Like
right.
we don't have that.
maybe we'll talk about this in another episode and dive a little bit deep, and I'll probably explain the system we got set up. But it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
if people can start, with just becoming more financially literate, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like understanding how your credit impacts everything that you do,
Yep.
understanding how to properly budget to save, and then when you're saving your money, how to invest it into real estate. So there's a lot of key
Oh
points
yeah.
there around financial literacy that you got to understand and know. Like, and as a first gen, you have to be the one that knows. You
Yep.
have to go, whether you're spending the money, and hey, I'm a free drop my book. I'm not rich, I'm wealthy. So that book that I'm writing right now is going to give you the framework on how to just get it all together. So starting with your credit, to understanding, the real estate investing, how to budget right, how to save right, like all that stuff is going to be in there. But you have to understand every component. Like, I myself went and got a credit course. People that
Mm.
taught me about credit. I went and got a course about course and mentors about real estate. I went and did stuff about budgeting, how to save, like everything that is involved in financial literacy. You have to understand that stuff, so that way you guys can break the cycles, and then because your parents might not know. So it's up
Yeah.
to you to be the one to start it for yourself. Don't even worry about teaching anyone else. Do it for yourself. And then as you're doing it and you become financially free, then that's when naturally your brothers, your sisters, and your cousins, aunts, they're going to want to know, because you're living a whole different way than they're used to.
Right.
So, but it
And then
really
sometimes
takes.
that's what it takes, right?
Exactly.
Because we see that when, like, obviously, like, because I'm renting out the cars on Turo, but like the Porsche and stuff, you'll see our posts and like stuff like that, man. They don't pay
Mhm.
attention until they physically see you
Oh yeah.
traveling. They'll see you in Mexico. They'll see the
It's
Porsche.
about
They'll
to
see. I
get
was like,
real nasty here around here the next year or so. I'll tell people that we've been holding back. We're doing Mexico right now, but like
yeah,
it's about to, the way we got it set up, man, it's gonna be like once a quarter minimum, like just going
right.
somewhere for a week plus, everything's
And
paid
that's what
for.
people see.
Yes.
That's what's frustrating, right?
Yeah. And not off the personal credit either. Like just paid
Yeah.
for trips, you know what I'm saying? So we're definitely going to be, that's why we're here, to kind of give you guys the information. So what we need you guys to do right now, so you get notified about our stuff. We definitely missed a week there, but we are
Oh yeah.
back. We are back, and we will be on it. um I need you guys to like, share, and subscribe. So if you're watching this video live, it doesn't matter if you're not, but share this thing, like it, share it with someone that needs some good information. And we appreciate it. We
I think we should dive in with the what you talked about, because that's like a whole 3 hours, man, of financial literacy. Just and like you talked about, you don't do it free anymore because you used to offer it, but then people would just like pick your brain and be like, "Hey, man, I want to hit you up for this." So
Yeah, we
I'm
don't got
down to
time for
do
that.
some of it, but the rest they have to do themselves. Of like,
They're gonna
we'll
have to
teach you
catch
some
us on a
stuff.
first gen experience to get it free.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Other than that, because
Yeah.
you were even charging because it's
Oh
taken out
yeah.
of your time, and you don't have to do this.
1,000%. So we're gonna break down some concepts for sure, and keep building it up. But yeah, man, you got any closing remarks?
Um, Well, I just heard a podcast about, just really quick, about finding yourself habits, but we're really focused on who we want to be, but instead, if we maybe think the opposite and think who we don't want to become.
Ooh.
So maybe I don't want to be broke, maybe I don't want to struggle, maybe I don't want to be negative. So like if you start crossing off those things and those little habits, and what that leads to, that might be an easier path for somebody if it's overwhelming. So like tax money,
Ooh, that's
hey,
good.
maybe I don't want to be broke. Well, maybe what did we do, right? Oh, we spent this much. Okay, maybe I shouldn't go out to eat. Okay,
Yeah.
and then what happens? You just genuinely feel happy because you crossed off all the negatives, and now you're good. So if it's overwhelming for you to be like, oh my God, what am I going to be? What am I going to do? Then just at least start with the negatives. If you
Wow.
can eliminate the negatives, then little by little, you should be good.
Dang, that's a good. I like that. I like that a
Yep,
lot.
always learning, man.
Yeah, I love it. All right, you guys. Like, share, subscribe, y'all. Eddie, I'll talk to
Do
you
it.
soon, and we'll see you guys.